to religion, remember I said I had a couple of questions from a few weeks ago
Right.
that were never answered.
Which are?
Well, why does God, as an all-knowing and all-loving God, allow children to be born with defects and disabilities and illnesses that only allow them to survive 5 to 10 years and then they die? Okay, I mean, I don't understand, what the purpose of that is. I know that when Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge, God punished Eve and said that when she brings children, when she brings life into the world, it will be with pain and suffering. So that explains that. But I mean, why bring children into the world only to have them die at such young age? And why does God make a woman go through, well, actually, I think it's modern medicine that does this, hours of labor, before she actually gives birth?
Well, we know why, because that happened with Adam and Eve, right?
Well, that's the part of...
the birth, yeah.
Yeah, the pain.
Yeah. I mean, doctors try to...
And then, of course, is God a merciful God? Is he a vengeful God? I mean, look, he caused the flood, the 40 days, with Noah. He didn't like the way man was turning out, and, he destroyed the world. He promised Noah and mankind that he would never do that again, and he gave them the sign of the rainbow. That there would be a rainbow, and that would be part of his promise, that he would not destroy the world. So,
well, he's not. He's only destroying parts of the world now. I mean, why is there so much starvation in the world? Why do people kill each other? Like, why are people born with all these defects? Innocent children that haven't had I know we're all born in sin, but... how could a one-day-old baby be born in sin and go through?
Because it all stems back to Adam and Eve. That's why.
I know, but still, it's not a very merciful God to have kids go through suffering.
Well, I would think that too. But to me, he seems like a vengeful God. I don't know.
All to him, this is a whole big game, and he's just watching to see what happens.
What?
What's going on in the world? Yeah. He's just letting everything go.
Well, for him, it is, it's, I don't know. But look, like we said, if anybody has anything to add, please, it's 336. You got me going now. 336-8510.
There's other... I've heard people say that this is just somebody's dream our whole life. We're just part of somebody else's dream.
Well, that we've known for a long time. That goes back to the ancients. Plato wrote about that. No, Descartes, in his theory of identity and personal identity and dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Ay.
Here's a little quick definition or explanation of Lent, or in Latin.
It's a past tense of loan. When you loan somebody something, it becomes Lent, right?
In Latin, it's quadragesima. Is a solemn religious observance in the liturgical calendar of many Christian denominations that begins on Ash Wednesday and covers a period of approximately 6 weeks before Easter Sunday. The traditional purpose of Lent is the preparation of the believer through prayer, penance, repentance of sins, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, my reading glasses on, so it's kind of hard. Almsgiving, atonement, and self-denial. All right, whatever. But not everybody is, as Mark said, not everybody does believe it. And without my glasses, I can't read much more. So we're going to leave that alone. And if anybody wants to explain a little bit more about Lent, give us a call. Any Christians out there, Catholics, Roman Catholics? But I guess not. So let's go back to talking more about a little politics. What did you think of the Democratic debates?
Which one? Oh, the Democratic debate? I thought that the Democratic debate was pretty much evenly divided. They agreed on quite a bit. She comes across as, I believe, look, I'm a Bernie person, but she's got a lot of knowledge about foreign affairs and everything, but with her, the whole thing is a trust issue. As far as the Republican debate goes last Saturday, Trump was mellow. Like I said, Kasich came off very strong. Christie came off pretty strong, but
well, and it showed. It raised him from 3% to 6% or 8%.
Well, Kasich went up to 12%. No, 16%. He wound up in second place.
Yeah, he did very well.
I just hope that translates as far as putting him ahead of Ted Cruz. I don't know.
Well, Cruz came in third, and Rubio came in a close fourth.
Yeah.
And then
Carson, you had Jeb, and Ben came in like fifth or something.
He came last, Carson, Ben.
No, Fiorina came in.
No, I think he did.
She hadn't dropped out yet. She hadn't dropped out at that point.
But she didn't come in last.
She came in last.
I thought Ben did.
Well, either way, they didn't, not much of a showing. No, I don't know why he's staying in. I have no idea.
Do I? Unless he's thinking about maybe somebody will pick him for vice president.
No, I told you, if anything, he'd be a, Surgeon General.
Well, the thing is,
makes sense.
Maybe he's still got some money left over, so he's going to go till he runs out of money. Because they can't keep the money, they got to return it anyway. So,
why the super PACs? What, you talking about the PACs?
No, the super PACs are his own money that he raises. He can't keep it for.
No, he doesn't keep it from. You don't keep it for yourself.
That's what I'm saying. So you might as well have it spent and stay as long as he can.
But I wonder if it gets turned into the Republican National Committee. How do you know who to return it to?
I have no idea. If anybody knows about that, let us know. We're interested in that also.
Yeah, really.
I mean, first thing is, again, I like the idea of Bernie and on one side Trump on the other saying no super PACs. Forget about that.
Well, I tell you, Bernie is doing very well with, millions of $27 contributions, and Donald doesn't need it because he's a billionaire. But you know what they got to worry about? They got to worry about Bloomberg says he's more and more interested in jumping into the race. Anything to stop Trump and Cruz.
Well, I don't know, but Cruz I'm not sure about no matter what. I just don't see Cruz making it to the end. I see a Kasich more. He's got more. I think he has more of a chance than Cruz or Rubio.
Well, if he keeps on the pace that he is, and the people in South Carolina, those that were interviewed, very much like his approach. Reaching across the aisle and working together. He says that. He said basically what Barack Obama said in his 2004 acceptance speech 2008, when he said that there is no, Democratic America or Republican America or white or black America. We're all Americans. And Kasich said we have to learn to work together as Americans.
Obama and the Republicans failed at that, to say the least.
Well, I mean, he not for not trying, but, he tried.
I said both of them. I said the Republicans and Obama. I'm not
but, they like to say that he used executive orders. But, Bush used a hell of a lot more executive orders than he did.
Well, it also depends how powerful the executive orders. I mean, he did some powerful orders on gun control and on.
No, he didn't use it for gun control.
Yeah, he used it for the background checks.
Well, meanwhile, we don't know anything about. They haven't said anything about background checks.
Yeah, he also.
Who knows?
Didn't he do something on immigration also?
I know he wanted to, yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't hear from anybody, we may just call it even earlier than usual tonight.
Yeah, and this is Friday. This is usually our late show.
This is usually our interesting later show, but...
So it's still interesting, but just going to be a little shorter maybe tonight.
It's so interesting nobody's calling up.
If nobody calls up in a little while, it's going to become a very boring show. And we don't want to get to that point. Again, we are completely unscripted. We just write something down.
Who would write scripts like this?
Well, we're proving our point. We're completely unscripted. We roll the punches, and right now the punches are not doing too well.
Nope.
I'm waiting for a couple of punches below the belt to spike things up a little bit. Well, let's see. What else do we have about Kasich? I think Cruz is being a. He's well, as Trump would say, he's starts with a P and ends with a Y and a USS in between.
Oh, please, don't even go there.
Oh, I told you I want to talk about sex. Well,
you wanted to talk about sex.
Yeah, and then that word is sex. Now, we're going to have a little quiz for our audience. Actually, and you be the audience, Mark.
Okay.
Unless somebody else wants to answer. If a man and a woman has only sex with a woman, what do you call him?
A heterosexual.
Very good. If a man makes love to men and women,
they're bisexual.
And if he makes only love to
a doll,
a man,
I said that's homosexual.
That's a homosexual. The other one was a bisexual.
No, you said two. A man, and if a man makes love to a man and a woman, that's bisexual.
That's bisexual. Now, same goes obviously for women. Now, when a man does something to a child, they call it a pedophile. Is that correct?
I don't even want to go there.
No, I'm just saying. This is
when he what?
He's a pedophile. When somebody performs obscene acts with a kid,
yeah, well, that's disgusting.
It is disgusting. We're not saying it's not.
But what are you driving at?
My question is, you're a pedophile if you go after your same sex or the opposite sex. Is that right?
What?
If you're a pedophile, it doesn't matter what sex you're going for. It's still a pedophile. There's no distinction.
No, usually pedophiles have predisposition for one or the other.
Do they?
Yes.
But it doesn't change their name, whatever the disposition is.
Well, they're generally called a pedophile because...
And religion has been involved a lot with pedophiles in the Roman Catholic religion.
Well, I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, all the priests.
Not all the
in
priests.
Boston.
A lot of Also in New York, it was all over where priests
Yeah,
were.
but it was mainly in Boston.
That they caught him anyway. I believe it was more widespread than that.